All right, we're going to get started with the comparing the calendars. I chose to do Google because I use it for my small business that I own. I use it for personal reasons, and I do have to use it here at school. Actually, our whole school calendar is on the Google Calendar. But then when it comes to our email, school email, and all those things, it's done through Microsoft, and then we're asked to set up official appointments, things like that, through our Outlook calendar. So the similarities, they can, both of them, you have the option of having private calendars or shared or groups. You can have notifications and reminders of events and appointments. You can have those emailed to you or pop ups, reminders, various ways. You can RSVP. They both can be accessed on multiple devices. They can both be color coded and they both have the ability to have multiple calendars. Google can display your availability. The calendar can be made public, can attach files from Google Drive, which is really convenient and awesome in my personal opinion. I like that option, especially when you're collaborating with each other or um, just trying to get messages out to multiple people. You have the option of scheduling a Google Hangout, which could be audio or video. And then, of course, the Google Calendar app is available on most devices. If it's an Android, it's definitely going to be available. You have Apple as well. Microsoft, you can attach files from your computer. To me, not personally as easy as what you can do with Drive. You can share your calendars with people or groups. It's not really different. It's just a different way of doing it. There's interesting calendars built in. Of course, Microsoft and Skype are together, and then they can. The one advantage I think that Microsoft has over Google is um, can be accessed via a client on the computer, the web, or an app, and I think that's beneficial because I personally like the client on the computer when doing Microsoft as opposed to the web-based version. And I don't use a Microsoft version of an app or anything. I just have Google on my phone. So I have a Google Pixel, so that's what I was going to choose to use. Now, getting down to the calendar, if you want to find your calendar, I'm sorry, I should show you this. You go through the grid here. So you're going to find the grid when you're logged into your account. You're going to hit calendar. Of course, that's going to open your calendar. This is my Fort Hays state. You can see I don't really use this very much. I put everything on my personal calendar. Um, you can see here the stuff that's in the purple. I started this program when I lived overseas and lived in Korea, and I just by default had added some things to it at that time. Um, Thought it was really cool, and you can see here that the Winter Olympics are going to start on Friday, which is being held in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and then the Solal holiday, which is what we would know as Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. In Korea, it's called Solal. It's going to be on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, and they're going to have a really hard time in the Olympics on those days because the whole country just shuts down or there's no tickets. And um, as foreigners, we used to not travel during that time. Sorry, it's a little tidbit off the cuff there. So you're going to go down to where mine says add a coworker's calendar. You can just click the plus button and say new calendar. It's going to take you to this screen, and let's just name it FHSU deadlines. Okay. And in here we just put your stuff, deadlines for Fort Hays State University. And there we go. We got our time set up. My email organization, create the calendar. Simple as that. It's being created. You can go down here and configure it if you want. We'll go back to our calendar, and now it is going to be red, and it's there. Now, as far as creating an event goes, that's the next thing we're going to be doing. Let's say we want to create an event for February the 13th. You can either click on the box or the number, your choice. This is a new feature, by the way. Before, it didn't used to show up like this. Let's say we want to put it on our new calendar, FHSU deadlines, and we'll say due date. And we'll just go down here, and if you do more options, you set your location. You can set all day or your time, so you can change it to time. Let's just say this particular event's all day. And we're going to do it at, notice how Fort Hays State College, as far as I know, those are not two different things. Maybe it's an old address. We got it down here. Here's all these things. We can change the color coding, all these things that we want to do that. So we're going to save that date, and then now that will be there. So that's part. As far as sharing your calendar goes, let's go back over here to our new calendar. We can go to our little three dots, display, settings, and sharing. We're going to go here, settings and sharing. We're all down here. It says automatically add all invitations, make public, make available for FHSU, add people. So let's say I want to share it with my advisor, and I want to share it with Dr. Moody. Okay, there we go. And then I would hit send. I'm not going to do that because for the purposes of the assignment. So there's a send. So that's how you can share a calendar. It's pretty simple. Slight learning curve going on with it there. The next thing we're going to talk about is the settings. Go to your little gear. Your gear will give you settings. Go down here. You can change to your language, whatever you need it to be. There's UK and English. And I found out recently dealing with my students, if they chose UK English out of just silliness or sometimes they just don't know the difference. It'll set your Google up with, of course, what everybody else around the world uses in centimeters and the metric system. So when they're doing their format of their papers, it'll show that. You can choose your time format from standard everyday time to military time if you so chose. You can do a secondary time zone. Of course, if you're working in most places, you got around the clock. You can add time zones. Your event settings, your speedy meetings, all these things are here. You can get week numbers, custom view, automatically visible to only yourself. You can, of course, it looks like this one's great. You can set up a warning to tell people that you're not working right now. Enable keyboard shortcuts, which are awesome. I really think they're good. Over here, all this stuff is in more detail, and you can do it for all of these different calendars at once. If you wanted to change and hide these from the calendar so you don't accidentally do it. I think those are all great. Next, we're going to talk about importing or exporting. It looks like we can go here. It says browse resources, calendars of interest, and you can import them from a URL. If you had somebody send you a link, you can import them for whatever reason. Let's browse the calendars of interest real quick. You got Christian holidays, Jewish, Muslim, Orthodox, regional holidays. That's interesting. And then the great part is wherever Google is used, which is mostly around the world. Somebody's created these things for all of these different places. You can see the list goes on and on. Basically, it looks like most every country in the world. I seriously doubt North Korea is here. But let's go down and see. Yeah, North Korea is not here. Places as obscure as Palau. Had a chance to visit there, middle of nowhere, very remote, and they even have those there. So, very cool little deal. As far as troubleshooting goes, for me, I always just let my fingers do the walk-in when it comes to Google. I just do that. Now, if I need help, I'll go to the gear and go down here to help. And they're gonna, you say describe your issue. You see how they have things that are already here. Share your calendar, sync. I don't particularly find this is as helpful as I'd like. I feel like it's a big jumbled mess sometimes when they're going through help. I'll just Google what I want to do, and when I Google what I want to do, usually the answer will pop up sometimes a little more clearly, or it gets me started, and then I can go from there. So that's that. That's my calendar comparison and how I use it on a daily basis. We use it here for work, and like I said, for my school and all the events, we have an ACE program here and clubs and all this and all these things and ball games and all that stuff is set up on our school stuff, which was just a simple calendar created when I got here, and they told me to create a Gmail. So I use a personal one for that, and my small business, I use it there, and we schedule all events there. So I find Google very useful, very very purposeful for daily life.